Good evening, and thank you for tuning into Pierce Politics. Welcome to Pierce Politics. We're on here with a very special guest. Thank you for tuning into Pierce Politics. We're here with Vinny Bueno, senior at Franklin Pierce University, history major. Thank you for joining the show, Vinny.
Alex, how you doing?
Good. And so, obviously, there's been a crazy election season. Who you swinging for, Vinny?
Well, current sides are both looking, meek. Donald Trump's not really talking much in the debates, and Hillary's still just promising the same things. I think it's time for a third party to kind of come in. I've been rooting for Gary Johnson. I mean, he's starting to
Weld. Gary Johnson Weld. Don't forget,
I mean, most people don't want to hear that, though. Most people don't want to hear that's a partnership, that two people can actually do this job. Maybe it takes two people to do the job, but they're polling. They're getting close to that 15% that they need in order to get into the debates. I encourage people that if you're on the fence, at least pull for him. Let people know that you're for him. Like, at least hear someone different if you don't like either candidate so far, like I do. So it's part of the Libertarian Party.
And so, what do you really attract you to a guy like Gary Johnson? Obviously, he's about at 12 to 15%, national polls. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe a little lower, maybe a little higher, depending on where you're looking. But what really attracts you to be one of those few people?
That's just the thing. I don't think it's a few people. I think there's a large majority of people. If we look at the voting numbers and everything like that, a large majority of people in this country simply just don't vote because they don't think their vote will matter, or they don't want to support one side or the other because they see the bad in both. I think a lot of this country is, on the libertarian side, the Gary Johnson side, who is, fiscally conservative, socially liberal. Like, you do what you want. Small government, very little intervention. I think a lot of people want to spend their money smart and at the same time make sure it's being spent on things they need and that they can have their own, life and their own personal values.
And obviously, it must be pretty frustrating, not seeing Gary Johnson in the debates when it's Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump on the split screen. It can be a little.
Not as frustrating as Holtz. He's just not holding his end of the bargain.
Really, he had a lot of problems with Lester Holtz at the debates.
He let Trump talk too much and he didn't talk to Hillary enough. I think so.
But I mean, you think that he did that? I mean,
I just think it was a product of the environment. You have two loud personalities that aren't. One's the loud personality, and the other one's trying to conform to him and be like him. And I think if you got Johnson up on the stage, he would not take any of it. He would sit down and actually lay out policy and call them out.
And you don't think that Donald Trump or at least Hillary Clinton was able to lay out some policy at the debate?
No, I think Hillary laid out a couple of her plans, but every time she'd try to take a swing at Donald, and he would just keep speaking up during her time. So it was really just neutral battle being fought.
All right. Well, I'm being told that we're gonna have to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back on for more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. So, Vinny, it's funny that you mentioned third-party candidates because when we were out in Philadelphia, the group of us for Politics Fits You, covering the conventions, we ran into a person who felt very similar to you about, he wanted a third party, someone new, someone fresh. Huh. And we're going to take a look at the video.
Okay.
And
let's take a look. I'm sure this guy's enlightening.
Let's take a look.
And it is going.
All right. So could you just start off by saying your name, age, and where you're from?
Koli, I'm from Philly. Welcome.
We'll just get it too as well.
All right.
Frank, we good?
We're good?
Yeah, cool.
So could I get your name and where you're from and, what you're doing out here, what you're trying to protest?
I'm Koli from Philly. Welcome. I'm protesting.
So what exactly are you trying to accomplish out here today?
So I have an imaginary third party that will become a real one over the next 30 years, and then I'll run for president in 2056. But for now, we're just telling both political parties they need to work together and get shit done. I mean, they fight too much. All they do is fight. They don't. They bicker. They lie. They undermine each other. They slander. The political discourse in this country has gotten way off a track where they don't actually discuss issues anymore, and it causes all the people to start fighting and even killing each other. We're demonizing each other when in actuality we're really not that different. At the end of the day, we're all Americans. We're on the same team. If If there was a company where half of the company tried to undermine the other half at all times, that company would go bankrupt. So if we don't get our act together, the country's going to be in a poor place.
So are you not politicians who are running for this election?
I'm going to vote. I'm absolutely going to vote, but I prefer to stay out of the fray. There's enough people in the fray commenting back and forth. I'm here as an artist to just provide a reminder to people that we're on the same team. You know, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. And you know, you see people starting to fight and lose friendships over schisming because they disagree on Syrian policy. You know, we don't even know what the fuck we're talking about. So, you know, and after the election's over, we're going to go back to cheesesteaks and blowjobs and, you know, cat videos and American Idol. So let's put it in perspective here, people, all right? Let's remind ourselves why we love each other and why we love fucking America, too.
So, Vinny, what did you think about, about the video?
Well, I'll tell you right now, he has the right idea. We do need to get things done. But, you know, was it 2056 he said? I think we have the ability to do it now. 2012, Gary Johnson, when he ran, he was backed by many of his, you know, fellow libertarians, many Republicans, you know, Senator of New Mexico, Governor of New Mexico, correct? Yeah. But he got 1.2 million votes in the primary. He was on all 50 ballots. I think we have that party now, and I think people just need to be informed.
So you think
be educated.
if we message him tonight and say, hey, you gotta vote for Gary Johnson, he'll
vote's a strong word. A lot of people just don't know. I think we need to at least get him in the polls and at least get him on the debate stand. I think he'll do very well.
All right. Well, thank you, Vinny. We'll have you back on the show. We'll have you back on the show after. But right now, we're gonna bring on Daniel Clark. Thank you for tuning into Pierce Politics. We're here with Daniel Clark, who is the lead correspondent for SGA News for Politics VCU. Thank you for joining the show, Daniel.
Thanks for having me.
But I want to turn to some national news. Obviously, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton faced off this weekend at the debate.
It was lit.
Who do you think won?
Well, personally, I do think Hillary won. But I think that Trump got a couple good digs in. I don't think he did as well as he could have done. There was a lot of open opportunities that he did not take advantage of, like where was, you know, digs at Bill Clinton or Benghazi, you know what I mean? But I think that he did get a lot away from the debate, more so than Hillary, even though, you know, she did win.
And what's that?
Well, in terms of speaking to their audiences, they both had to speak to, you know, different demographics because they need different people, like their votes. But so they were speaking to different swing states that they needed for their votes, and there was a poll that said that Trump was more effective in reaching out towards swing states. He had about, like, I think somewhere close to like 20 mentions. He called out like 20 different, or within the 12 swing states, he called out like 20 times. And Hillary only addressed like New York, I think Illinois was one of them, and only touched upon 3 states. So I think
saying that New York's a swing state.
Well, it's one that they're both, they need in terms of votes. Mathematically, like with the Electoral College.
Do you think that there's a chance Donald Trump could win the state of New York?
I wouldn't be surprised.
One of the bluest of all states in this nation. I
mean, it's hard to tell. I'm not going to say anything because at this point, like, this election is so wishy-washy, 50-50. Anything that happens can't be really expected.
I think that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
So what do you think some of the lines were that, you know, were really important during the debate on Monday night? Some of the things that stood out to you.
Well, what I was surprised about was the lack of substance. I don't think they talked about a lot of things. Clearly, the overall loser of the debate was climate change. They didn't talk about that at all.
I believe Hillary Clinton talked about climate change.
For like 2 seconds, though. It wasn't something that was discussed. There were no questions addressed towards climate change.
Yeah, but she did address it for a good while, but...
Yeah, but that was only because energy was brought up, and that was honestly a win for Donald Trump because he was...
Really? You think that Donald Trump wins on climate change?
No, not climate change. That's not what I'm saying. The only reason that climate change was brought up was because alternate energy was brought up, and that was because he was speaking towards the manufacturing states like Ohio, which he needs electorally for votes. But that transitioned into job creation because Hillary, obviously, within the 30 years she's been in Washington.
Well, she does have a plan to create jobs through clean energy.
Yeah, she has a plan, just like Donald Trump has a plan for foreign policy. But that's what I'm saying.
So you think that Donald Trump's foreign policy plan is pretty good?
No, I'm saying that it's not. It says existent as Hillary Clinton's job creation plan.
And why do you think that?
Why? Oh, that you got to take it up with Hillary Clinton herself. Like, I don't know.
No. Why do you think that the plan is lacking?
Which one?
Hillary Clinton's job creation plan, or Donald Trump's.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. Ready for this? If you think about it, within her 30 years in office, she has not created one job. So how many jobs is she going to create in 4 years? You know what I'm saying?
Well, she hasn't been in office for 30 years.
She's been in Washington for 30 years. Okay, that's a long time.
26 years.
Affiliated with, no, 30.
26 years.
Donald Trump has made a career out of building jobs. You know, we can debate whether or not, you know, he's done it corruptly or not. But he has created jobs, and he does have foreign in relationships with business leaders across the world. You know what I mean? Like, he's a businessman. So that plan is in place for him. But with foreign immigration, you know, or foreign policy, he has no credentials. There's no experience, so we can't really bash him for not having a plan for foreign policy.
Right, so he should be excused, even though he's running for Commander-in-Chief of the United States.
I mean, I don't know what he's doing behind closed doors. Like, him with his administration could be formulating a plan right now as we speak. Right. I don't know, but.
And the plan is not to release the plan.
Well, Hillary Clinton during the debate said, "You can learn how to fight ISIS online on my website." She was promoting her website, and then Trump got a dig at her and was, you know, like, and I agree. Like, if you want to tell people how we're going to fight ISIS, don't you think ISIS has access to that information and will try and fight a different way? You gotta keep things secret sometimes, and obviously it's Hillary Clinton. I'm not surprised because she can't even keep her emails in check.
Right. That's obviously the case.
Yeah.
So, what about Donald Trump? Do you think that even allows him to be on the debate stage? Quite frankly, I mean, do you think that he has any right to be on the stage, or Hillary Clinton has any right to be on the stage? And
oh my God, yeah, they're both. Well, I'm not going to say that I'm in favor of either of them, but they both have a right to be on the stage. Like I mean, unfortunately, this election is more of an auction.
Auction, yeah, really.
Honestly, it's been since, you know, the summer, even before that. And I think that unfortunately right now, like, debates are becoming more like American sports. You know what I mean? No one's really voting for what they believe in anymore. Rather, they're voting for their team. So there was an interview on CNN with this woman from Ohio saying, "I'm honestly devastated that Donald Trump is, you know, representing my party, but it's my party, and I'm #loyal, so she's going to vote Trump." But that's what's come down to. I think that, yes, they have a right to be on the stage, and it's very important, and they've probably addressed a lot of issues with undecided voters, but it's a game at this point now. So it is sad.
Right. Of course, hashtag is the most important thing when it comes to voting. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back on with Danielle and Vinny, and we're going to talk some
lash out some debate.
Some debating, so stay tuned. Thank you for joining the show. We're now here on with two students who are going to debate. First we have Danielle Clark, who was on the show just now, and she's the SJ lead correspondent for Politics FSU, and Vincent Bueno, who is a senior history major here at Franklin Pierce, and also a member of Politics FSU. So, thank you for joining the show, guys, and I hope this is a fun, enjoyable debate.
I hope so.
And we can all have a good discussion. So, I want to start with Vinny. Who do you think, come November 8th, should be the Commander-in-Chief of the United States of America?
That's a big title you put, Commander-in-Chief. That's you know, the essential problem here. We talk about, you know, our foreign affairs, our domestic affairs, our home affairs. We talk about, you know, a lot of things that are scary to us. And I think that both people we have right now running, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, just don't give us that security we need. I think we need someone new. I think we need a fresh face. We need someone who's going to understand the social problems and at the same time know that we need to save our money and that we need to be America. We talk about making America great again. We've always been great. We've always had the tools. We just need to remember it with our liberties and our freedoms. So Gary Johnson, 2016. You have to do it. Johnson and Weld.
Got no traction.
And how about you, Danielle? Who do you think should be the Commander-in-Chief come November 8th, 2016?
I mean, again, the two people who are currently our candidates, I mean, with, you know, Stein and Gary Johnson, it's going to come down to Clinton or Trump. So with those two options, I don't like to say it, but I currently think that Trump it's going to boil down to Trump eventually. Do I agree with that? Not entirely sure yet, but I think given Hillary's history, especially being Secretary of State, the Benghazi attacks, like even just the Clinton Foundation currently, how they're accepting money from like all around the world, and it's
Trump's not an innocent man though. He has his
he's
scandals
not,
and he has a lot
he's
more.
Not, but I think that she could do far more damage than he could. He's just
And what respect do you think that Hillary Clinton can do damage to our
I
country?
think honestly, people are hating on his ignorance. He's a very brilliant businessman. Does he have a lot of experience with politics? No. Is it hard to gain experience in politics? No. Hillary's been in the
It's
game
not
for
A brilliant businessman wouldn't.
no politics. I mean,
A brilliant businessman wouldn't be afraid to release his tax returns. Like, I just don't see it.
no,
I
that's-
see. I think you see it as Donald Trump as a new, fresh face, and that's not always the best thing.
No, it's
I
not
mean,
that. I personally
he's a
would
Republican. He's a Republican with no filter anymore. That's what's
I
happened
think
here.
that we should have we should not be as filters as we currently are. And I mean, I think I would love somebody with as much experience as Hillary Clinton. I mean, the things that she was responsible for as Secretary of State is something we need.
Hillary Clinton without a
office.
filter calls black teens super predators, though. So we have lack of filters on both sides here. And
He's the lack of filter that he has. It's it could be name calling. She lies. Like I don't trust her. I really don't.
And
Can we name one fact
and
from Trump?
For the record, can we state that? Can you state for the record that Donald Trump does not lie?
Oh my God, no, he lies. Even in this past debate, he lied about. Let's see. He denied criticizing how abortion is, an inconvenience to a company. I mean, he's on video. They aired it on live TV, saying from like the 1990s, an interview with like CNN or Fox or something, that he was criticizing how pregnant women are an inconvenience.
Well, then let me ask you this: what's Trump's? I mean, his whole thing has been he's a businessman. Is that something that you think is refreshing for this country? I mean, he's this great businessman.
Well, yeah, I do, because not only are you commander in chief, you're economist in chief. He has experience. He has a lot more experience than Hillary has, and I
His
think
experience losing a lot of money too, though. He's the same man who in 2007 opened Trump Mortgages,
Right, and I know
and
the
called it a
whole-
great idea. He's
Right.
opened Trump University. He's had all the lawsuits going on with that. He's a great businessman in the sense that he was given a large sum of money that any American realistically could have turned into.
right. But if you look at the cost-benefit analysis of Trump's business tactics, there's no argument to
His business was a reality show for 8 years.
right. But okay, again, there's no argument that his capital gain is corrupt. I mean, it's all self-motivated, and it's not donated or gained for the greater good. But the cost-benefit analysis of his tactics, his moves, is to make a lot of money. And running a business is much different than running the economy of the United States of America. Are there some parallels? Yes. Will he transgend those to being a businessman for America in general? Yeah. I think honestly, with him, a cabinet behind him. No, hold on. This is important. With a cabinet behind him, with his administration, and going through Congress, he's not going to be able to play the U.S. economy like he did with his own business. But I think he's smart enough to make gains for America.
Well, this is a man who even said himself that I cheated my tax. Even if I did cheat my taxes, I'm a smart man for doing it. So, do we really want someone who's going to say, as someone who's Gary Johnson advocates for the abolishment of the IRS and a whole tax, then that's something that's a whole different conversation. But under the laws and statutes of this country, don't you think everyone should be following them? I mean, we always say that Hillary Clinton should be indicted for her emails, indicted for everything. But this man basically said on his live debate that, yeah, well, even if I did find these loopholes, I'm a smart man for doing it. So is he just saying the rest of us are not as intelligent for being able to find it, or is he saying that I'm above it? And do we really want a man like that?
Let's try to move on to some present issues.
It's too heated for Alex. We'll move on.
Not too heated, Danielle, but I would like to point out for the record, I would like to get one more statement from you about Donald Trump being a businessman for the country. What would you say to someone who challenges that and says, Donald Trump, during the housing crash, said that it's great for his business for this to happen? Do you think that is good for the American people?
How do you mean?
Well, he did say that, people losing their houses is great for my business. And then he says now that he wants to be the people's person for the economy.
To some extent that's true because it was a seller's market, and he was making a lot of profit off the fact that
off of people losing their jobs in houses.
People are always losing their jobs in houses, but that's and who was in office while he profited? Who was in office while he profited from all that? You know, there's what 2007, 2008, everything like that. The Bushes, you have Republicans. What has happened since then? The Democrats have come in, and Trump has regained his money because he's had these welfare states and these cheap labor forces to be able to utilize and not pay in some cases. So we're seeing just a fluctuation every time of his wealth. We ask all the time, why is his wealth always different? His wealth depends on who's in and what kind of breaks he gets and what kind of loopholes he gets. We won't get that with the Gary Johnson presidency. We won't have an IRS loophole system. We'll have one whole tax. We'll have something that is fiscally conservative for the country that we can take and spread around and spread to what we need it for.
All right. So,
hashtag socialism?
Whoa, I would like for you to send this comment, Danielle, please.
Retracted.
Bernie Sanders is also socialism. We saw the kind of the game.
Bernie Sanders isn't currently a candidate, so
socialism is a lot. Socialism is more of a spread the wealth. We know that. This is keeping a free market and keeping a free economic system.
Yeah, you keep telling yourself that.
Would you like to defend this comment, Danielle, that Gary Johnson is a socialist?
I'm not saying Gary Johnson's a socialist. What I'm saying was the comment Vinny
You said it was
earlier.
socialism. You said his layout plans for socialism is a whole tax. It's not necessarily taking everyone's money. Everyone still gets to keep their money to a degree. It's taking out the same number of taxes that the IRS already does every year. And eventually getting to the point where we can lower that as well, from a 27% to a 22 or 23% of what we make as a people. It would take it out of the rich, it would take it out of the poor, it would take everyone out equally. I wouldn't really call it socialism as much as I call it as an equal free market where someone can actually...
Ted Cruz uses this as well. Who is a Tea Partier? Moving on, though, we go to some issues. On criminal justice, obviously the two candidates in some ways are different, but I wanted to ask you, Vinny, what do you think about Gary Johnson's criminal justice plan versus other candidates?
Well, to be really honest, I haven't looked into his criminal justice plan too much. I don't think he has proposed one yet. It might be more on Weld's side. However, his basic values, he understands, and I know most libertarians understand. Like I said, we're socially liberal. We know the atrocities that come with the jail system. We know the lobbyists who have their hands in it. We know the racial atrocities that come with it. It's heavily disfavored towards minorities, mainly African Americans, and it's a heavy disproportion on a phony war on drugs. We fight a phony war against marijuana, which we classify as a class 1 drug, along with heroin and methamphetamines. Last time I checked, one of those two things kill you, and the other one doesn't. So we fight every 45 seconds, someone is being locked up in this country for marijuana possession, and it's not white people. We want to end, and we want to help and start to move forward in our criminal justice system and reformation of cops and everything like that. We need to start with at least a decriminalization of something that's natural, something that can't kill you.
And so, Danielle, I want to ask the same question. What do you think about Donald Trump's strategy about the criminal justice system?
To my best knowledge, currently he doesn't have one, although it's been talked about that there obviously does need to be a criminal justice reform. But in terms of his commentary and, plans for minorities, I think we saw a lot on the debate this past Monday. He claims that he's advocating for the minorities and the black communities, and he's doing a lot with the Second Amendment. So I think that's going to show up a lot in his foreseen jail reform plan. But
let me ask you about some of his comments he made at the debate, because you brought it up. He mentioned the fact that he believes that the city of Chicago should bring in the policy of stop and frisk, which was deemed unconstitutional in his own city.
Right. Well, personally, I don't agree with the stop and frisk. I do think it's very unconstitutional. It was ruled unconstitutional.
Racially insensitive as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, once you bring in racial profiling and stop and frisks, that's when, the environment within our own borders becomes hostile, and that's where we get more controversy. That's when you get a civil war. So I don't agree with that. Can I see where it's coming from? Maybe if you're going to look at it in the perspective of, heightened fear within like the media. I think the media contributes a lot to it, but
But I've thought that Donald Trump said the media was a liar. So.
Well, I think the media creates a lot of controversy for their own personal benefit. They use scare tactics to inform the not as educated on what's going on. So I think, for example, current statistics show that crime rate is down, and it's very true. If you were to turn on the news, you would be led to believe that crime rates were up. I think Donald Trump plays on that a lot. I think a lot of his political games have been out of fear. They're motivated by fear, anger, with the immigration policy. So, as I don't know what he has planned for the criminal justice reform, but with the stop and frisk thing, I'm not sure that he understands what's going on.
Right. So you think that he might be a little bit weak when it comes to the policy?
Not weak's not the right word. I think ignorant and insensitive.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'd have to favor Trump over Hillary at this point. I'm not a huge fan of her, but when saying that, it's disheartening because I am scared for what he has in plan for us socially.
Let's go to move on to what is you guys' number one thing that you think the number one policy, the number one statement that your candidate has made as to why they should be the next president of the United States of America?
You want to sleep?
Yeah, sure. Well, honestly, it's the lack thereof comment why I think my candidate should be, not my candidate, but Donald Trump should be commander-in-chief. You just look at the past 30 years of Hillary. I mean, yes, she's done some good, but if she's not able to purchase a weapon, and she should
Is she not allowed to purchase a weapon? Please clarify.
The whole national security thing, I don't think that
she's not allowed to own a weapon. Please clarify.
I'm pretty sure, to my best knowledge, that because of the email scandal, she's not seen as she wouldn't pass a background check.
I'm going to give you one more chance to clarify your position.
I'll retract it if this is false, but to my best knowledge, I don't think she would pass a background check for purchasing a weapon.
Okay, moving on.
Are we? Is that true? Is it false?
I'm going to go with false, since only people not allowed to really purchase weapons are felons, and she never have been convicted.
Well, she's a felon. That's what I'm saying. She shouldn't be able to pass a background check, so why should she be in office?
Why should she not be allowed to pass a background check?
She should be indicted because of her recklessness with national intelligence.
But was she indicted?
No. Bill Clinton paid off the whoever on the tarmac. I'm blanking. That's what happened. That whole
So someone, you mean the Attorney General of the United States?
Yes, thank you. Bill Clinton. I don't think it's a conspiracy. Paid off the Attorney General on the tarmac.
And so you're gonna stick with that position? That's what happened.
Yes. And if it makes me look like a fool, I don't care. But there are some things that they can convince people to be true. I'm not falling victim to that. I'm not falling victim to the media. It's not a coincidence that Bill Clinton met with the U.S. Attorney General on the tarmac with no press, no media, right after Hillary was, deemed not guilty. That's just not a thing. Come on, wake up. You know what I mean?
Right. Good call.
Yes.
So because of Hillary Clinton's lack of experience, you think that Donald Trump should be president?
No, she has more experience than him. I think that it's her recklessness and
yeah, very reckless.
Donald Trump just he's just pointing fingers and hurting people's feelings. It's not right, and
Right.
I could honestly go on a tangent about him, not my favorite person, but I think he's more fit at this point to be president over Hillary Clinton.
Right. And so, Vinny, how about you? What do you think about your candidate?
Well, I think for these same reasons that we don't really trust both sides. We can't even make a informative decision on both sides. We say one thing and then we say, but this other side has this, and all we hear in the media is them mudslinging each other. Hillary just recently started switching to her policy, campaign tactics with ads and stuff like that. All I know is that from day one, Gary Johnson has done nothing but lay out what he's going to do for this country, what he wants to do for this country, and what he's about. And all he's ever asked for was a shot. All he's ever asked for is a chance to get up there and debate and show them that we're picking between, you know, as South Park would say, a giant douche and a turd sandwich. It's just what we've come down to. It's what happens in a two-party system where we allow corruptness and political power to take over. And the Libertarian Party is based on the freedoms and civil liberties of the basic every person. Everyone has their own freedoms, their own liberties, and Gary Johnson just wants to be able to come in, take care of that on a small government basis, and fight for our civil liberty, our basic rights as people.
Too bad he's polling at less than 15%.
That's an archaic rule as it is, though. Why should we have to have any kind of percentage for American people? There's 1.5 million American people on Facebook alone who have signed a petition to see him in the debates. Why should we have any polling number to get some people? Isn't this America? Aren't we First Amendment? Don't we have that?
Well, unfortunately, we don't vote for the president directly. I mean, we're voting for the electorate vote. So I mean,
it's a popular vote, though.
I hate to make it up. I'm being told we have to go. We'll be back on next week to talk about more. Maybe there'll be new controversies. Maybe Jerry Johnson will be in the debates. We don't know. Stay tuned for next week. Thank you.